In the past 30 years, the state of Nevada has proven a reputable host for motorsport, and especially with this mile-and-a-half circuit, many a time have we brought the Integrity Racing League back down to the desert. And tonight is no exception. We're keeping things all the way down in the southwest. We were in Avondale, Arizona last week, and this time around, the Integrity OCTANE at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway for race number 5 of the 2025 schedule. And last week, of course, we saw dominance from now two-time consecutive winner Scott Eckridge. He hopes to continue that trend today. Welcome back live on FTN Broadcasting. I'll be your host for tonight's event. I'm David Kreutz, commentating and producing. Currently, qualifying is on the move. We have about 2.5 minutes remaining for drivers to set their final times, and more than 40 drivers have taken themselves to this mile-and-a-half venue. It's another big field at a bigger track than last week in Phoenix. We're going from the 1.5 miler in Avondale, Arizona to one, of course, 1.5 again. It was a mile on the dot in Phoenix. Tom Wetmore currently finds himself as pole sitter. That's your Daytona winner at the top of the board with a 30.046, and a few other drivers still getting themselves set up. That is Tom Wetmore, of course. And tonight, running in the number 51, it looks like no paint scheme, interestingly. All the while, the rest of the field looks to be set up correct. There is Zach Scrintinol in the number 20. Zach is making it across the line, and for this number 20 crew, he'll go 26th on that lap. Don Stevenson in the 47 gets off the circuit from P27. Zach is one of the final drivers right now on track. There's Richard Smith in the number 23. Smith is looking to make some improvements as it stands. He is 28th. Crossed the line last time by, and now he's going for some extra warm-up laps to prepare himself for the rest of the day. Then from there, you'll also have still Wetmore's on the circuit and Taylor Story. Story has not had the best of the last few races, and so the number 30 is looking for a big rebound race tonight. And it looks like the checkered flag has fallen now on our qualifying session. Story not able to get that last lap in, but one thing is for certain, Tom Wetmore remains at the top of the board. Wetmore will grab the pole position with a qualifying time of 30.046. Good for P1 by 14 one-thousandths of a second. So Wetmore going to be comfortable with his qualifying position. Rest of the field getting back on the starting grid. And it looks like right now we can introduce to you everyone from top to bottom as they put themselves together on the racing circuit. Starting grid, of course, we'll see Wetmore with that pole position, top time in qualifying, and he'll lead them down as we take a look at your starting order in Las Vegas. Inside of row number 1 is going to be Tom Wetmore and his number 51 Chevrolet. That Tube Tech goes P1, and it's his first time on pole this season in the Octane Series. One-time winner already, and now he gets to start up front. Alongside him will be Sam Nieto in the number 2, and Nicholas Ward in P3 in the number 97. Scott Eckridge will start tonight in 4th, and John DeBarro will begin in P5, with Nick Tarbuck then 6th place, rounding out the opening 3 rows. 7th place will be just behind, and Woody Mahan in the number 47 qualifies strong, only 2 one-thousandths of a second off of the top 5 for Mahan, and 7th and 8th place will be Zach Scrintinol. His last lap by far his best, going from 20th to 8th on that last lap indeed. Cody Smith will start 9th, and Nolan Potter will round out the top 10 in qualifying as your Atlanta race winner Jacob Fife and Jared Davis conclude the top dozen. 13th place will go Brad Patton. Patton is ended up a retiree in the past 2 consecutive races. He's looking to snap that streak tonight with Bobby Keith then starting beside him in 14th. Ethan Lane qualifying P15, and Brian Yazik going 16th on the order with Eric McFarland and Ross Cato just after their 17th and 18th. Ryan Bean will then be P19, and the final man inside the top 20 is Paul Mikolajczyk. Paul in that number 77 tonight for P20 as Galen Gidman goes 21st, Kevin Bernheimer goes 22nd, and P23 goes Matt Sisler in the number 93, Josh Gallagher just after for 24th. The rest of the field further on down goes as follows. To end the top 30, Nate Campbell in 25th, Brock Potter, Aaron Eads, Taylor Story, Don Stevenson, and Richard Smith for that 30th place. For the top 35, you'll have 31st place in Sean Kalist, 32nd in John Steele, then Jay Haishman, Eli Cars, and Matt Janas with Brian Greenlee. Then after, the number 38, who starts tonight in 36th. To end the top 40, you'll have 37th place Blake Cannon, Kyle Cooper, Randy Fiash, and Jim Fife. In number 63, with your final two drivers on the starting grid, them being the number 27 of Ryan Vaughn and Chad Dillon, 42nd and last for tonight. Cannon, who's won 2 consecutive Ignite Series races, qualifies in the back of the field today, and he'll be accompanied by the remaining drivers, the 6 of which who did not take a qualifying time. 42 drivers here in Las Vegas, and there is a look at your starting grid from top to bottom in Sin City. Pole sitter, Tom Wetmore with a 30.046. Wetmore right now on his way, that number 51. You can see the Tube Tech paint scheme right back on it, so we've got that fixed up, as we will the rest of the field. Wetmore looking tonight for his second victory of the season, and that would match Scott Eckrich's best efforts so far on the campaign. Scott able to come away with a victory at the Circuit of the Americas and, most recently, in Phoenix. So he's been able to do it twice now so far on the season, the most of any driver to this point. An exemplary effort for Eckrich, but now the focus is on if anyone else can beat him. In this practice session, though, Scott looks to be the fastest driver once again. Eckrich in the number 70 with 30 seconds remaining on the clock is quickest man. And it looks like now he's in a side-by-side battle with fellow top 10 qualifier Woody Mahan. Eckrich qualifying strong to begin this race, of course, in 4th. Looks like that's a comfortable spot to be in, considering the fact that last week as well, able to qualify in the top 10, make his way up ever so slightly, and finish things off a race winner. Eckrich tonight perhaps the race favorite by that token. Although Tom Wetmore qualifying well, he's not the fastest in last practice. That goes Scott Eckrich in the number 70. And so with final practice concluded, your 2-time race winner is once again fastest on the charts. Starting grid now ready to put itself in official formation. The iRacing official pace car at the front of the pack exactly, and now the rest of the field put together right behind. There's Sam Nieto. Nieto tonight starting on the outside. His best performance so far this season coming at 1.5 miles in the form of Atlanta, where he was able to use tire strategy well to finish up the podium that night. Jacob Fife got the win. Don Stevenson was able to settle just behind that. And of course it was Sam Nieto who got on the podium just by virtue of working that strategy game well. He wasn't the happiest, Sam Nieto, with having to do so to make it to the end in front, but he got himself a good points day and proved that he can be one of the fastest guys at these 1.5 mile circuits. Some pre-race thoughts in the chat room from number 93 driver Matt Sisler, looking just to have a solid day tonight, as he has himself a brand new paint scheme, the alternate paint scheme making its debut, Birdie's Golf Company. We'll take a look back to the number 93 as the race goes on and give a more spotlight to some of the new paint schemes on track today. One that's familiar, of course, is Wetmore's 51, and now that you're seeing him at the front of the field, he's looking to go all the way from top to bottom for the checkered flag again. His victory in Daytona, while not necessarily a shocker, maybe less expected in that he won the Monday night pole, did not win the Tuesday night pole, having to come from the back of the field to get the job done. And now up in front once again. Wetmore having one win this season, Fife with one win, and Scott Eckrich with two. And Jacob Fife, the exception right now for winners who are not inside the top 10. He qualified in 11th, although Eckrich qualified P4 and Wetmore P1. So your former race winners so far this season are once again at the top of the charts. It's going to be our earliest winner in the best position. Tom Wetmore is going to have control to set this off, and it's going to mean not only, of course, that he has the advantage into turns 1 and 2, but he might have the advantage throughout the opening stint in its entirety. More than 40 drivers once again for our second biggest race. In terms of racing population, 42 drivers back in Sin City, and they're all going to roll the dice, and at the hands of the field, it'll be Tom Wetmore leading our pack into its opening laps. 134 laps and 200 miles on the table. It's a long haul of the intermediate circuit once again, and Tom Wetmore with Sam Nieto will bring the field back to full pace. Stack up on the inside, and it's going to be heavy down to Jacob Fife in 10th, but Wetmore in the 51 pulls away. Tom Wetmore in the field, bring it back to speed. We are green in Nevada. Tom Wetmore breaks away, has the race lead by some 3.5 tenths a second. Looks like the advantage will remain solely his as we look back to Sam Nieto fighting side by side here with Ross Cato. And so the battle begins once more between your front runners in the field. Looks like all those familiar faces once again getting the edge of qualifying. That's what's going to keep them up there, hopefully throughout the night. Jared Davis is going to go to the inside here. There's that number 19. Davis looking for a good run deep on John DeBarro. John going to keep him honest, though, in the 69 up top. 2 laps in out of 134. A lot of time from here to get good things done on circuit. Jacob Fife falling a little bit further back into P15. Not where he would like to be necessarily, but again, looking to get those long-term improvements rather than letting the short-term take over for the entire field here. And currently for Fife, it looks like he's going to have himself up to 17th. Unfortunately, that's still a downturn compared to where he started, but as long as he keeps himself out of trouble, he's got a lot of time to make his moves in. From 14th to 8th, that's going to be Bobby Keith, the biggest mover on the way into the top 10. Bobby coming from nearly outside the top 15 to make his way to the single digits so far. Sam Nieto trailing directly now on Wetmore. And you'll have, of course, Nick Tarbuck right with. Bobby Keith wiggles up to the high side. He goes nearly all the way up to that third groove where Paul Mikolajczyk is running by virtue of slight contact. And drivers look to be fully in control in terms of that grip. That doesn't seem to be a problem. But what looks to be the issue right now is more so just trying to find adequate racing room. There's some drivers such as Paul in that 77 who have become a little bit more accustomed already to using the highest, most groove. But I don't know if that's going to be the best place to stay all night long. Matter of fact, it might become more disadvantageous to run up there now as the bottom feeders are where all the performance gains are being made and all the position gains are being made. Looking down low, that's where your entire top 5 is now with, of course, Woody Mahan, with John DeBarro, Nick Tarbuck, Tom Wetmore, and Sam Nieto. And notably for Mahan, he's got that clean air that means he doesn't have to worry all too much about what's going on behind. If you look on the front end here, Mahan's got himself in the middle groove. A good run down the back straightaway will keep him toe-to-toe with Scott Eckrich. But further behind, it is mayhem. Side by side and multiple rows of 2x2 deep. Then it becomes a long string of lonely racing again. Jacob Fife, Cody Smith, further on back, Ryan Bean, all of these guys in the mid-20s who are running single file, but are all very far back on any notable races. And then you'll have Matt Jonas right now in 32nd, Don Stevenson, and guys who aren't necessarily racing yet for those competitive positions, still fighting against each other, yes, but it doesn't have many major implications as to how the rest of this race will run. There's Brian Greenlee, 35th here, and the 27 is down low. Ryan Vaughn, last time by, 36th at the line. These two drivers will be fighting for the 35th position as they come across the stripe. There's Sean Kalis at the line, ahead of the both of them. Just barely, Kalis will be P34 as he enters turns 1 and 2. Looking up front, Tom Wetmore still holding full control over the field. Then you'll have Sam Nieto and Nick Tarbuck, positions 2 and 3. Tarbuck again showing that intermediate prowess. Although he hasn't won yet this season, he's been on the verge of breaking out both the Integrity Ignite Series and Octane Series, and trying to get those good points in early is going to be pivotal as the night goes on, and the season no less. Last time we went racing, it was Phoenix Raceway. It was Scott Eckridge, Ethan Lane, and Jacob Fife on the podium that night. The Atlanta Motor Speedway, of course, the last time the Intermediates hosted, and we are slowing down. First incident of the day. You look all the way back to Eli Cars and Company, and it looks like Ryan Vaughn involved in this one. So we're trying to see whether or not we can figure out what exactly happened. Taking a look at the back of the field, Ryan Vaughn, the man involved, and it looks like he was alone by the time of incident. 40th place, spinning around, and now he's all the way at the back. The 27 gets things going again. Looks like he's going to find himself lonely at the tail end. Yellow flag is out. Notably, John Steele also falls back, but minimal, if any, damage to these two drivers. There's Nicholas Ward, and it looks like right now last place scored at the timeline is John Steele. So you'll have Vaughn and Steele who fell back, but both of them look to be good to go from here. See minor cosmetic damage, if anything, for your 41st and 42nd place drivers. First yellow flag 11 laps in as we take a look back up front. It's a very small break in the action here. Get things going once again. Some drivers assigned to head down to pit road, including Nicholas Ward and Scott Eckridge here. So, with 120 laps remaining from here, we're not expecting for this opening stint and this opening break to have many major implications. In fact, these drivers are coming in a little earlier than their peers. I don't know if it's going to mean all too much in the long term, however. There's the 18 of Cody Smith. Smith making his move and is now scoring in the mid-teens. You can see there, Josh Campbell. Coming off is Brian Yazik, Ross Cato as well. Race off pit road. We'll see your mid-pack shuffled big time here. There's Matt Sisler getting through the 93, Brian Yazik in the 55, and Scott Eckridge now just catching up to your drivers who are now on old rubber. So it looks like it's going to be Eckridge, the first of them, to take these old tires. That means that as it stands, about 15 drivers stayed out. Rest of the field went down and in. So, just less than half of the field now on that old rubber. It looks like that is the disadvantageous position. We'll see how much longer these guys on the old tire last. Coming to 1 to green this time around, Tom Wetmore will lead. We'll restart at lap 14. And it'll be Sam Nieto in his Ford Mustang who runs P2. John Navarro is on the outside here. Slowly but surely making his way up. And we go double file again. Navarro will start behind Sam Nieto. Tom Wetmore chooses low, and he'll keep it there, as it looks like he's got full control for this restart. And that choice looks to be rescinded now. Wetmore heads up high. turns 1 and 2. Nevertheless, Tom Wetmore, your control car, he's going to give Sam Nieto the opportunity on the bottom. That's going to give DeBarro the outside groove with your control car. Last time by, the inside got stacked up big beside leader Wetmore, and we'll see whether or not now the rest of the field can get away a little better. Incident at the back of the field involving Steele and Ryan Vaughn, which brings out the first caution. And now we're looking for restart number 1 on the day at lap number 14. Nancy Wetmore and Hudson in the chat room, thank you both for stopping by. We're just getting started now, so buckle up as Wetmore leads the field yet again. It's Wetmore, Nieto, and Nick Tarbuck. Same yellow as it was, of course, same restart formation. Green flags out. Tom Wetmore again with a rocket launch on the outside, and the rest of the field can't keep up on these opening movements. Wetmore is far and away better in getting these jumps over every other driver in the pack, and that's perhaps the most impressive thing we've seen of him so far. Now, he's led every lap, so we don't say that to discredit him, but so far what's kept him up there is getting those nice bursts into action, all the while the rest of the field battles among one another. You'll see side by side Ross Cato here with Kevin Bernheimer. You'll also have the number 6 of Ethan Lane. Lane is still trying to make his way up from starting only 15th on the grid today. He's going to have to make that charge and do so quick. Not able to get a win last week. Of course, that was Eckrich getting the job done. And last night in the Charlotte Roval, he was to be denied by eventual race winner Hunter Matulenis in only his second career start. Big contact. That's Nicholas Ward up the circuit for your second caution. Huge hit from the 27. And Ryan Vaughn barrels into the issue. Caution is out. Take a full replay. Last lap. We'll bring you back up to speed to the moment of impact. Nicholas Ward involved in the start of it, and the rest of the field, including a notably hard hit from Ryan Vaughn, makes things significantly nastier at the time of the wreck. Now scored in P41, and here's a look at why that's the case. Ward, contact there from Eli Cars, taking Kevin Bernheimer up the track. And it looked to be a 3-driver issue, but Vaughn not able to apply enough brake to it. And he ends up hitting. Nolan Potter gets Cody Smith, gets Jim Fife. It's a huge hit. Many drivers involved all at once, looking at least 6 in that frame. There's the 18 of Cody Smith. Now scored 35th as a result of that incident. Big front end flattening. Nolan Potter finding himself crumpled up too. Ryan Vaughn disconnecting as a result of involvement with that last incident. So a bad way to get things started all around for Vaughn, and it looks like his troubles have already brought that number 27 team to a close for the night in only our first 17 laps. Not at all what we like to see to open up a race like this, but it looks like again we're going to have to put it to pacing. Restart is expected at lap 20 now for your second caution today. Tom Wetmore leads, John Nabarro is second, and then you got Paul Mikolajczyk now up to third place. Of note, Scott Eckrich, one of the early guys on the new rubber, is up to 14th now, so he's gotten himself at least 2 positions up on where he started that last restart, but still down 10 relative to his qualifying position. A lot of time, of course, until that point. So Eckrich is going to be one of those guys still looking to make big moves up front. Brad Patton now 13th to 8th. Patton notably taking qualifying times this season. Last year, he chose not to until the playoffs began, was able to win from the back of the field, but it's a much thicker field in terms of quantity and quality this year. Really can't afford to do that if you're trying to make one of those serious playoff runs. As such, Patton changing things up and running strong to start as he finds himself now in the single digits in 8th place. Time to spare as we head now for 1 lap to go. Final lap before the green flag, and this restart due to come to a close with Tom Wetmore at the helm. It'll be Wetmore and John DeBarro. Let's see where Tom Wetmore decides to head for this restart. High side or low side? And it looks like, unlike last restart, Wetmore takes the bottom. The iRacing official pace car will let go again, and at lap 20, we'll have a chance to put in another restart. Hopefully from here, we get some more green flag laps in. Unfortunately, it looks like for a few drivers already effective retirements. Nicholas Ward on pit road in 41st. Ryan Vaughn off the track. Eli Cars in 40th is on pit road. Jim Fife just got on the way. That's the 63 returning to action. So Fife will be the last driver racing. So we have 40 on track right now. And it looks like Jim going to be just 1 lap down. 38 on the lead lap as it stands. Tom Wetmore has been dominant wherever he's restarted, and now he again tries the bottom groove. Let's see what the leader in the 51 can do with it. Again with the launch, Wetmore with the advantage. DeBarro and Paul Mikolajczyk side by side as Blake Cannon dives low for restart 2. Cannon moving steadily further up in front, and he is not wasting any time. Side by side now with Nick Tarbuck, and up top further, you'll also see Woody Mahan. Jared Davis now going to put some pressure on that number 4, and notably, Cannon is the one who's leading this charge to get to the front. Davis now pushing on the backside, while Tom Wetmore sees Paul in the number 77 look low. John DeBarro is watching. Wetmore now in jeopardy of losing his race lead, and if he does so, it will be due to that hard-charging number 77. Paul right now is only getting closer and closer to P1 as he skates up the circuit, though, through turns 3 and 4. It looks like, again, he'll have to have Wetmore take it to the line. 3 wide down to the bottom for second. That's Blake Cannon, and he'll make not 1, but 2 passes down the front straightaway. John DeBarro remains on the high side here, able to have a nice recovery with some good momentum into turns 1 and 2, and its exit, but Cannon is low and he is still making time. Blake Cannon now the first driver directly behind Tom Wetmore, and although Paul got close, it looks like Blake might be the first driver to break through and take the lead from Tom Wetmore. Still not able to get there, but he got rather close on that run. Now into lap number 23, John DeBarro again using the high side to his advantage as he's not cut off well through the corners. And that means he can stick it right behind the 51. That gives DeBarro second place firmly once again. Jared Davis going to be toe-to-toe with the number 77 of Paul Mikolajczyk. The 61 of DeBarro's broken just ahead. And there's Galen Gidman. Gidman from 21st up to 6th. 20th to 5th for Paul Mikolajczyk. 37th to 3rd for Blake Cannon. So the big movers are really showing what they're made of so far tonight. Impressive work all around for these guys who did not start up front but are absolutely putting in their work. 38th up to 11th as well, and Kyle Cooper. Cooper going up around the outside on Eric McFarland. Looks like McFarland currently is going to be just behind the Cooper machine. Advantage 73 still for that P11. It's really close up and ahead. I mean, several thousandths of a second between Paul and Jared and Galen Gidman. It looks like still no dice as to who really has these positions. 25 laps in out of 134. Some drivers taking their first pit stop of the night. Others, not so much. And we're expecting for the strategy calls to allow for up to 60 laps. The drivers really push it all away. However, we saw the multi-stop strategy as advantageous in Atlanta, which saw drivers come in every 40 to 50 laps. So by lap 50, we'll have a better understanding of exactly how the tire strategy will work today. To the inside, John DeBarro on Tom Wetmore. Still can't make the pass. Less than a tenth of a second back now on Wetmore, and the only driver with that second place line all to himself. Taking a ride on board again behind Wetmore, and you'll see how close it really is. Right now, directly in his trail. The 51 has been leading the way, and he's been cutting that draft and letting it all happen as the rest of the field continues to follow. John DeBarro is doing a great job of doing something different in the corners, but when they match up on the straightaways, they're about the same speed. And if not, then slightly faster is John DeBarro. Kyle Cooper got up in the wall there. Now we'll be side by side with Woody Mahan. Woody going down to the inside. That's the 49 on Cooper's 73 here. And it looks like still not able to make the pass. It's a close fight here between Cooper and Mahan. And there's also the number 14 coming through. That is Brock Potter. Potter not quite there yet. Getting real close across the line, and it looks like Brock has a slight advantage into turn one for 9th place, and the single-digit fight continues. Blake Cannon is going to hold his own in 3rd now. Dalen Gidman goes up top. Gidman versus Jared Davis for the 4th place. All these spots up front are still well contested, but the rest of the field is very far from giving it a run for their money. You can see it's mostly single file further on back, and if not, it's drivers just barely moving out of line. Eric McFarland gets back in there for P14. You got Brian Yazik right now, and that number 55 down to 20th. Going back even into the mid-20s and the 30s. Richard Smith and the like. This is where it begins to get a little more intense with some side-by-side racing. But even still, the implications for these positions are not nearly as much as what's in front. 3 wide almost with Aaron Eads backs out. That'll give Bobby Keith and Sean Kalis some time up in front to get themselves settled out. That was for about 25th, but the battle for P1 remains, and it's going to be 30 laps in out of 134 here. Wetmore and John DeBarro still positions 1 and 2, with Blake Cannon running 3rd. Cannon looking to the inside now on John DeBarro. That's the move for 2nd. Advantage number 44, as now DeBarro is slotted back into 3rd. Cannon is still looking for his first victory in the Octane Series this year. Last night, 2-time back-to-back Night Series winner, of course, Blake Cannon, not able to step on the podium, but it only took him until the tail end of the race to get into the swing of things. It was Eckrich, however, who finished in 2nd, so maybe a little bit of a return to that front-running position for Cannon, and a turn to the tides as he'll find himself on the podium tonight. He was just outside of it, finishing P4 on the day last night as he was involved in the top 5 fight with Thomas Bresci, and Bresci ended up making a major mistake late race that cost him and sent him down to P6. It was Matthew Thunhorst who finished in 3rd, and he found himself rather lonely on the night, and he kept himself there all through. The 19 of Jared Davis slips up big time, and he's going to go now just barely inside the top 10. Davis finding himself from 8th place to start the lap to now what appears to be about 12th position as he gets shuffled up with guys like Brock Potter. Potter, toe-to-toe now with that number 14. Jared Davis able to hang on, but that is 12th at the line, exactly where he qualified, so losing all those gains he made in one foul swoop. Just getting antsy out of corner number 4 and pulling it through. Unfortunately, that's the wrong way to carry speed or momentum, because he ended up carrying it through the entire front straight, wiggling, and with turns 1 and 2 not faring much better, Davis is now down and out of the top 10 again. Brock Potter getting himself up there. That's the number 14. Zach Scrintinol toe-to-toe with Jared Davis. 3 wide at the line. There's Nate Campbell, and even lower, here comes Ethan Lane. Lane making the move to get up to 6th place as he clears both Campbell and Potter. It looks like now Ethan has made another crucial spot up in his fight to get up there in the leading picture. Ethan Lane starting P15 today. He's had his work cut out for him and then some, and it's impressive to see right now that number 6 is still making the upward moves he needs to, but it hasn't come to him as easy perhaps as usual. Qualifying anyway, he found himself further out back than he'd like, but this race pace is always where the Ethan Lane crew shines, and this is where the number 7 team of Brad Patton has to look out, because the 6 of Lane has the advantage in working the race pace and now taking spots when it matters most. Lane to the outside, quick enough to pass, and that's for P5 at the line. Galen Goodman now passed for 4th. The 0-4 has no choice but to let it slide, and Goodman gets past. That's Ethan Lane up to 4th place. John DeBarro now already faces that pressure, and Lane's looking for 2 passes in 1 lap as he'll take 3rd. Ethan Lane now. That's for P3, Blake Cannon and Tom Wetmore, his only targets left. Wetmore has led so far the opening 37 laps consecutively as we come to lap number 38 here, and he's hoping to maintain control, but with Ethan Lane getting closer, that's going to become harder and harder. Let's see now what Blake Cannon can do defending upon that number 6. So far, nobody's been able to curb his high of making positions up. Ethan Lane has found the highest level of competition on this track, the top 2 positions. Is he going to make quick work of them? Now we'll see. Lane goes high up on Blake Cannon. It looks like he's got himself a little bit more pace through the corner. Coming down the back straightaway. Up top, Tom Wetmore also giving him room. It'll be side by side immediately for the race lead. Wetmore down to the bottom. Ethan Lane up top. And here we go, Ethan Lane taking the race lead with new rubber and all from 15th on up. Lane, for the first time tonight, Wetmore no longer leading, and it'll be Ethan Lane who takes control 40 laps in. Zach Scrintonall right now going to be running a little bit further back, and we're going to focus on the battle for the mid-teens, the upper mid-teens. Zach Scrintonall is in 13th. Jared Davis finds himself rounding out the dozen in 12th. And you'll have Scott Eckrich 14th. From 4th on down, he's gone 10 spots to the negative today. Eckrich, it looks like the magic not here just yet for your Phoenix race winner. And we were wondering whether or not he could keep the good times rolling into the ovals. And of course, he got that victory, making an amazing run of it in Phoenix. But it looks like tonight the intermediates a lot different here in Las Vegas. Eckrich was not necessarily the fastest driver in Atlanta either, so this is more consistent with that. Scott did, however, finish 4th that race, so we do say he didn't win it. He wasn't the fastest, but he still was very quick. And I wouldn't be surprised if he gets back up there again as the night progresses. Taylor Story in the number 30 once more retiring early. 28th to 39th on the day. Taylor now going to find himself 6 laps down and will fade back to finish 39th, so just within the top 40. Nate Campbell now going to be in 2nd, getting by Tom Wetmore. And now it looks like Nate Campbell from 25th to 2nd and from 15th to 1st and Ethan Lane are your race leaders. Those two combined have made up 39 places to get to where they are right now. And we have 42 drivers on the grid. So as a whole, they've made up nearly the entire field to get to their respective positions. I would say that's a major success so far, although it does mean that Tom Wetmore is falling back, and now he'll let Blake Cannon go by. Cannon for P3. It's a brand new podium. Now, Tom Wetmore for the first time is out of the top 3 after 44 laps. Galen Gidman, meanwhile, is going to try to fight to stay inside of the top 5, and it looks like Sam Nieto is going to make it quite the challenge. Nieto getting down low, going to move that Gidman machine up top. Galen's going to try to use a good run through turn 3 and 4, and it looks like while he's got some more speed immediately coming out of the corner, Nieto did not break stride either, and so advantage Nieto into turns 1 and 2. Number 61 to John Navarro watching back, and it's clear now that Sam's got the edge as he makes his way into the back straights. Some notable closer battles further back. Eric McFarland right now racing with Jacob Fife. Fife again was able to win in Atlanta by virtue of an amazing strategy call. He decided to take 2 tires. The majority of the field was able to stick it out with all 4 on the safer option, but taking that risk, Jacob Fife, late in the going was the difference maker. So Fife tonight, if he wants to go out there and prove he can win it once more, I think it's going to come down to another alternate strategy call. It looks like by virtue of straight race pace, he doesn't have himself the fastest stuff tonight, which isn't a bad thing per se. There's so many quick drivers, it's very challenging to be the outright quickest. But it means that Jacob's going to have to improvise, which is more challenging than anything else. He's done it once before already with perhaps the biggest gamble all season long. But it's going to take lightning in a bottle twice over if he wants to go for that second consecutive intermediate win. Not impossible, but not easy. That's the way things go for Jacob Fife tonight. Round out the top 25, you'll have Cody Smith here going at it with Sean Kalis. It looks like Kalis is really faded back. Sean tonight has been on the up and down trip. We saw him running up front of the top 15. Now looks like trying to hang on for the top 25. Cody Smith, unfortunately, doesn't seem to have the ups and downs figured out just yet. He's been falling back continuously. He's got that front end damage from our most recent caution where he got smacked up alongside the number 34, which of course was some big contact previously with Potter. That was Nolan Potter. And as a result, Cody's almost entirely handicapped for the rest of the race with less engine power in it, which means he's going to be stuck fighting mid-pack battles until the job is done tonight. Cody's still doing a good job going up against Matt Jonas, but I'll tell you this much, up at the front of the field, Ethan Lane has no more battles to fight. He is leading with a dominant margin of a full second now over Nate Campbell. And then you'll have Blake Cannon in third. Cannon is where the battling begins because Wetmore is only 0.2 of a second off him. It looks like Tom has not really fallen out in terms of pace yet. Wetmore just outside the podium here, but it looks like now Sam Nieto trying to get himself up firmly into the top 5, making a pass around the inside on Brad Patton. Patton trying to use that back straightaway momentum up top again to recover, and that's something a lot of drivers are doing effectively is defensive driving, using the top side, making sure they burn through less rubber and just letting the track carry them through. And it looks like advantage Sam Nieto no longer, of course, as it's going to be now Brad Patton making his move back in front, using the top side and almost slingshotting through. Now looking to take that same speed and bring it to Tom Wetmore. And this is where that long run pace starts to really show itself. And it looks like Brad Patton will be the first of these guys to try something different. And for him so far, working out quite well. Patton getting the opportunity for the first time all night long to really make gains. Everyone else has slowed down slowly but surely. Wetmore, though, still going to be just ahead, and now we're coming up on some lappers. John Steele, 1 lap down in 36th here, going to let the field fly by. It looks like no trouble keeping Steele on the inside here, as there's another battle up in front. That's going to be for P7. Nick Tarbuck to the inside on Scott Eckridge. Still advantage Scott at the line, but it looks like Nick Tarbuck has a chance now to take that 7th place. Woody Mahan goes at it with Brock Potter for P10. The final spot in the top 10 is hotly contested now. There's John DeBarro. It looks like the 61 has fallen out of the top 5, but still has a chance for a top 10 finish. DeBarro leaving some room now for Mahan to come up the track. In case of a lapper, that's still John Steele. And now it looks like it's going to be the 49 lying back in the fight. Brock Potter and Jared Davis at the forefront. Davis takes P9. DeBarro now looking to take 10th. But Brock Potter using the high side again to defend strongly. Now, 54 laps in out of 134, which means that we've gotten ourselves very close to the halfway point in this race. Officially speaking, halfway marker coming in at about lap 68. That means that drivers are coming up on what could be their first pit stops of the day. For the drivers who have not yet gone down a pit road, I think that early first pit stop is coming up within the next 10-15 minutes at the very most. For the drivers who already went down a pit road, say for instance the guys on new rubbers such as Ethan Lane here, he might have a little bit more time, upwards of 25 laps, to get himself settled out and not concern himself all too much with what's going on immediately. He can have up until about lap 80 to make that move in, but by that point, it will be mandatory for everyone to come down one more time for what could be their final pit stops of the day. Multiple pit stops required for the drivers who went down and in during caution. One pit stop required today for the driver who has not yet gone down to pit road. And those are requirements just to finish. You don't have enough fuel to go the whole distance at once. With how long these drivers have gone on their old rubber, it looks like the one-stop strategy is the way to go today under green. So drivers will come in past lap 70, give or take, get themselves down to pit road, some of which might go past lap 80 or 85, but it's going to be a pretty unified strategic call, all things considered. Here's a 70 of Scott Eckrich. Again, Eckrich right now will be running in 7th place, trying to chase after Sam Nieto. Nieto gave some room to Brad Patton. Patton used the high side to slingshot up and away, and it looked like for a brief moment there he was gaining quickly on Tom Wetmore. Looks like instead he sort of mellowed out right behind the 51, and in fact it looks like Scott Eckrich has even gotten a little bit closer back to him once again. Eckrich continues to get closer now to this fight ahead, but it looks like Brad Patton might be moving backwards more than anything else. Sam Nieto again rocking to the inside, and this means that the number 7 will fall back out of the top 5 if Nieto has his way, and it looks like advantage again, number 2. Job's not finished yet. But now it looks like Nieto really does have the speed with him, even though Patton is trying to use that high side again to get that rocket ship off corner exit. Diving deep, works once more. Sam just had to wait. With time to spare now, Sam Nieto getting it up in front. And then you have Scott Eckrich and Brad Patton. Eckrich making the move around the Patton machine, and as such, the number 7 finding himself now not only outside of the top 5, but back to 7th. Eckrich is now the man just outside. On the hot seat will be Sam Nieto, but it looks like Nieto has been pulling away as it becomes a very dark and gloomy day, all things considered, here in Las Vegas. The sunlight has been mostly beaming out all night long, but it looks like now the entire track covered in darkness, so we'll focus up a little bit closer on the field here as there's a side-by-side battle between Eckrich and Brad Patton. Weather has changed ever so slightly, mostly cloudy skies with a track temperature of 99 degrees Fahrenheit and ambient temperature of 81 degrees. Humidity is very low. The winds are also coming in slightly westbound at a mile an hour, but overall, the only big difference between the start of the race and how we are right now, it's the cloudiness. The cloud cover has only increased, and that's going to be very tricky to deal with, mainly when it comes to just subtle visibility. It shouldn't be a major determining factor in strategy or anything of serious note. So long as there's not fog on track, visibility should be mostly unharmed, although it did definitely get darker in the last few moments. Lap 63 out of 134, it is Blake Cannon still running second, 3 seconds ahead. Ethan Lane has absolutely found his groove. And again, 14-time winner last year, and again, he found himself a winner once in 2023. He would be going for his 16th career Octane Series win, the most of anyone, and continuing to extend that all-time lead he has over every driver who's ever competed in the modern era. He's been unbelievable, of course, in his past 2 seasons of competition. But now, it appears like finally pulling it back together to start 2025 and maybe give us more of that dominant flair. Again, podium finishes, able to knock both down. Circuit of the Americas and Phoenix just didn't get the top spot. Tonight could be about time that things change for the better for the Lane team. While Blake Cannon is going to be comfortably in second place, Nate Campbell is now going to be third. And only for that to change quickly, Tom Wetmore at the line, just going to beat him. To the inside comes Wetmore, that's for P3. And Sam Nieto now looks to put Campbell on the hot seat for the top 5. Nate Campbell's 45 moved up high, Nieto stays low, and he's going to try to follow Tom Wetmore through. Couldn't quite get there. Still side by side, been this way for a lap. Brad Patton now waiting in the wings. Tom Wetmore's gotten the advantage, and now while he no longer has to fight this fight directly, the implications are still clear. This is for top 5 honors. Nieto looks low. Campbell still up top. Nothing just yet. No dice across the line. Tom Wetmore now going to be the final driver inside the podium. He's going to find himself pretty far back, unfortunately, on Blake Cannon. Can't quite make any direct moves to challenge up and in front. Cannon looks to be in his own zip code, as does Ethan Lane, but third on back is a real challenge. You'll have Brad Patton right now up high, as is Bobby Keith. Bobby, however, is a driver who now is on new rubber after heading to pit road, so you're starting to see the new cycle influence everything. Coming across the line, and we're halfway there, and we've made it to our second half. 67 laps to go from this point onward. That means that pit road is due to become very busy very soon. Bobby Keith to the inside now on Tom Wetmore. Nate Campbell falls back. That's going to leave Bobby Keith and Sam Nieto to take advantage. And notably, the number 2 of Nieto gets there for position. Campbell comes down to pit road in haste. And he's going to lock up the tires huge on that run in. Talk about a nasty lock-in. There's Sean Kalis. Sean is now on the way out. On the way in is Jared Davis, as is the number 61 of John DeBarro. Big run in there for Campbell. And hopefully that's not a penalty, but really no guarantees with the aggression of that entry. 45 could be in trouble. We'll figure out whether or not he officially is very soon. Coming to pit road this time by, that is Brad Patton. Patton makes his way in, as does just behind him Brock Potter. So 2 more leaders coming in with 65 laps to go. And as we mentioned, the mid-60s, mid-70s on up, that's when pit road is going to become as busy as it gets. Ethan Lane could practically go in whenever he would like here. He's got that much control over the situation. To the inside, that is Blake Cannon. He looks like he's going to go in, and he'll be followed by his Roadhouse Racing teammate who comes in like a jet. You saw him smoking tires. That's Tom Wetmore. And hopefully, again, won't be a penalty, but we can't find out just yet. For the number 51, Nate Campbell is going to take that penalty and now is 2 laps down as a result of entering pit road hot. Maybe 36th place by proxy. Unfortunately, it's not a mistake that is easy to avoid when you're in the heat of the moment, and he came in just a bit too quick, And smoking up the tire is unfortunately always a negative indicator, although we're seeing now whether or not Tom Wetmore got away with it. The 51, your pole sitter, came in a little hot, but it doesn't look like he came in with the same force. He's getting his pit stop service right now, and he's on the way, so it looks like he'll get back out there and only go one down, so regular service for Tom Wetmore. And Scott Eckrich now, well, it looks like he stays on circuit, and he's going to find himself up to 7th as more and more the field comes in. Nick Tarbuck decides to go through, and now Nick finds himself one lap down and getting back on the way. Gonna have to cycle up as he's one spot behind Tom Wetmore according to timing and scoring last time by. Looks like right now, though, Wetmore is going to be significantly further back on him as a result of that pit road cycle. Ethan Lane holds control, staying out on the track now, coming to 61 laps to go. It'll be Lane, Eckrich, and Ryan Bean first, second, and third. Jacob Fife all the while is right there as well. Fife at the line, going to be scored at P5. Side-by-side battle now, Zach Skrintinol, and it looks like Brian Yazik. Brad Patton is now going to be scored in 22nd as a result of heading down a pit road. Number 7 campaign looking to cycle further up. And it looks like of your former race leading contenders, Patton is the net race leader off a pit road. Now, a lot of the drivers who have remained out to this point are waiting by virtue, of course, of hoping for something to happen. It might be by desperation, it might be otherwise, but a lot of these guys have not been up front all night long, so it's a different look at the head of the field. Recent retiree Woody Mahan in the number 49. So unfortunately, another driver backing out. But with 60 laps to go and time still to spare, Cato and company, Ross Cato, one of those guys holding out, are now beginning to concede. 75 laps in, Ross Cato makes his move, smokes up the tire ever so slightly, but he'll leave Jacob Fife out to fight Brian Yazik. As you'll see there, Cato is down and in. The 55 of Yazik remains on circuit, as does Zach Skrintinol in the number 20. Kevin Bernheimer right now is going to find himself up to 9th. There is Nick Tarbuck. Nick is looking to make another pass. This one is not for position, just looking to cycle around the current race leaders, all of which were remaining out, waiting for the long haul. Wetmore slicing to the inside here. Tom making another pass. Currently, Wetmore scored in 31st. A lot of time until we figure out exactly where he is as he's coming up on the third caution of the day. Smoke billows, and it looks like Brian Yazik potentially with trouble. Checkered flag, of course. We're getting closer and closer, but another caution on the field. The 55 of Yazik potentially involved, and you'll see him slow across the line. Here's a one-lap replay, which should show you what prompted this. Yazik was working low on Jacob Fife just before the time of the incident. And Jacob right here, as you can see, just ahead. Jared Davis coming through. Davis contact with Yazik sent him drifting up the track. And it looks like he goes up the circuit, makes contact again. And as Brock Potter disposes of him, he goes down to the apron. Caution is out. 3 drivers involved in Potter, Jared Davis, and Brian Yazik. Yazik getting the worst of it as we will once again regroup. Leader Ethan Lane now heading down a pit road, and he will bring the rest of the holdouts with him. Now, although Lane will be at the back of the field, thanks to waiting this one out, he will also have the advantage of new rubber, so he won't have to concern himself all too much with being at a performance disadvantage. Track position, however, that's going to be the worry. With still some 50-plus laps, there's time on the table, yes, but Ethan Lane is still going to be coming from the back end up if he wants a chance to go up there and lead. Scott Eckrich coming out from pit road, as is Ethan Lane. You still got quite a few holdouts here who remain up in front. And those are the drivers, of course, who already went down to pit road. This will leave Jared Davis at the head of the pack in the 19. He was scored as 18th last time by. And since he's now the leader of those one lap down, he'll be following Brad Patton intently with Paul Mikolajczyk and, of course, the 82 of Eli Cars. Eli's 13 laps down, so they're only following him because he's a lapper looking to get one back. This gives Paul the opportunity to take the race lead in 16th. Old Rubber going to be taking advantage, and it looks like now a majority of the field is on older rubber than those who just went down and in. Paul will get up there in the lead lap, as does Brad Patton. Patton getting that go-ahead. And Ethan Lane scored across the line here as your race leader. So Lane's going to have himself the official edge. We'll give it some time now to cycle everyone out. And by going down to pit road as leader, he effectively got a free pit stop. So we'll give a lot of drivers here, quite a few of which from that mid-pack strategy, a second chance to get back on the lead lap. Here's the number 34 of Nolan Potter coming in from 17th place. Everyone's going to get together and get back with the iRacing official pace car once again, and we will restart at lap number 82 with 53 laps to go. Jared Davis will disconnect. Looks like he's out of this one, and number 19 after being involved in that most recent caution. So, we'll go back at it with Lane as your leader and Scott Eckrich in second. Ethan will have about the same amount of time as he did in that previous run to break away, so let's see what he can do. One lap to green, Lane on the bottom, Scott Eckrich up top. For the first time tonight, Ethan Lane will control the restart. Previously, Tom Wetmore holding control of all restart honors. However, now your pole sitter will begin this run in 24th place. A far cry from where he was for the majority of this event. But now he'll have to work from the back on up to have a shot at even the top 10. Lane and the holdouts get everything they need and then some. Jacob Fife is up to 4th. Watch out for Fife. When he was given top 5 position in Atlanta, he converted that into victory in perhaps most unexpected fashion. And tonight's another opportunity. Fife has been low-key, not the driver everyone's focusing on, but now he's got position, and position can make any driver a danger for a victory. Eckrich high, Ethan Lane down low. Here we go again with 53 laps remaining. We're coming to lap number 82 out of 134. Halfway, we've already hit it. Strategy might as well be complete. If we stay green from here, this might be the lineup that brings us toward the checkered flag. Green flag's out. Lane gets the nod. The inside has so many more drivers and gets off better again. Eckrich merges in for restart number 3. Lane holds control. A notable divide between the front runners and the guys further back who try to get things going. You can see a second pack beginning to form. There's Nick Tarbuck, who's in 20th right now. Galen Gidman, who's trying to keep himself in the top 15 battle. And now you're starting to see all the former race leaders immediately climb back up. They have no time now to be patient and understanding of those around them. They have to make moves and have to make them quickly for any chance at a good finish here. It's such a different look up in front. You got Matt Sisler, the number 93, up inside the top 5 for the first time all night long. Jacob Fife now finding himself P4. Ryan Bean inside the podium. These are guys who weren't even sniffing the top 15 to kick off this race and even through the first half. Now things have changed. Now they have the track position and they're ready to use it to the fullest. And it's not to say that besides Eckrich and Lane that these drivers have been slow today. It's quite the opposite. It's just the fact that everyone's been so close and competitive up in front that these drivers hadn't had a chance yet to make their move and get all the way up in front by themselves. It hasn't happened. Strategy sometimes is necessary to shuffle drivers around, and Jacob Fife already knows a thing or two about that. He's looking for third. The 36 heads up top. Jacob Fife looking for P3, coming across the back straightaway. He's got it. He's only 2 spots away from the race lead, and what could be his second intermediate win of the season. Have a night, Jacob Fife. He's up into the podium once again, and now looks quick enough, just maybe, to crack P2. Jacob's got momentum, and he's got the speed. He built it up on the high side for that previous pass, and that's what got him up into third as we come now with 50 laps to go. Further back, you'll see Brian Yazik with Jay Haishman. Jay getting his best run so far this season. 1 podium last year. That was his best of the campaign, and now he's looking early for his first top 10 of the year. Haishman has been with us for several years now in the Integrity Racing League, a veteran who oftentimes finds himself in the top 15, top 20 category, but tonight from 33rd up to 9th, he's made it up nearly 25 positions, and it looks like things are on the up and up now as he'll run right behind Cody Smith. Smith in that Next Level Racing Chevrolet running real well in his own right, and he's a driver we have to talk about now with less than 50 laps to go. I'd like to thank Next Level Racing for their continued support in helping out the Next Level Racing League and our coverage live on FTN. Currently, with the action getting close at the front of the field and the sun beginning to set, Cody Smith is coming through in crunch time to perform when it matters most. And for the sim racing community, our premier partners are going to do the same for you. First and foremost, we would like to thank both of them, and we'll do so in form of a partnership image that has been put together wonderfully by some of our new partners and some of our old as well. First and foremost, we'll talk about Sim Motion, the newest Next Level Racing premier partner, of course. That's Sim Motion. They brought on alongside NLR for the 2025 season, and they're a leading trusted sim racing vendor with all of your sim racing needs for any application or appliance. Check out Sim Motion. Use promo code Integrity at us.sim-motion for 5% off checkout and scan the QR code on your screen. Furthermore, Next Level Racing has been with us since the beginning of 2023, and they're with us to this day. Visit nextlevelracing.com and use promo code Integrity24 to learn more about their products for high-quality sim racing performance products meant for dedicated sim racers who deserve nothing but the best. Visit nextlevelracing.com today to learn more. And now as we return to the action, it looks like our Next Level Racing driver is still in the top 10 in Cody Smith. Matt Sizzler to the race lead over Ethan Lane. Jacob Fife there is inside of the top 5, still up top on Ryan Bean. Hasn't yet made the move to get back up inside the podium. In fact, it looks like the pressure's on between he and Scott Eckrich again, but Matt has gotten himself up to the points. Ethan Lane now bumper to bumper with your number 93, and for a driver who is only expecting to look for a solid points day, well, we're seeing a lot more than that out of him right now. Take a look at that Toyota Camry running in second and giving Ethan Lane a real good run up in front. Jacob Fife is going to watch on as Fife is now officially in third. Jacob has proven now 2 races at these mile-and-a-halfs in a row that if he's given track position, he can make the absolute most of it. Jacob side by side with Matt Sizzler once again. Looks like now Fife's got what it takes to take second place outright in the catbird seat. Number 36 of Fife, one spot away from taking that race lead. The sun beaming once again. Track conditions have changed, drivers up in front have shifted, but one thing's for certain, Ethan Lane is still top dog. He just has to fight against a different crop of guys up and ahead. Brad Patton's gotten inside of the top 10 battle once more. He's in 11th here, looking to split 3 with Josh Gallagher and Kevin Bernheimer, and of course, right behind Zach Scrinton. So he's making his move up to P10, although the rest of the field now is not mixed up with those old contenders. Blake Cannon is still in 17th, Tarbuck still 18th, Wetmore still 20th, and it is a new breed up and in front that will control this race to the checkered flag if we stay under green. This is the importance of staying alert throughout the race, even when it looks like it's not going your way. These are drivers, for the most part, who are far out of leading contention, who are now getting the perfect opportunity to win tonight, something that wasn't expected. Certainly wasn't going to be given to them, and they had to take it. And Jacob Fife right now, he is taking everything he has, taking every opportunity he's got to bring it back to the podium for his second consecutive week. And more than that, look for his second win this year. Jacob Fife in 2023 proved one of the strongest competitors in the Octane Series front with 4 victories overall. Our league owner has been competitive since the beginning in 2012, but the question has to be asked year after year as we see more competitive racing each and every season by. Can Fife stick with the best of them? And it looks like tonight he's proved it again. Yazik to the apron once more. The number 55 gets forced down and in. He'll have to fade back. That's the number 55 now down to 11th by virtue of a minor scuffle. Looks like Yazik is all right to continue on, but he's going to drop back outside the top 10 very quickly. But Jacob Fife, again, he's already got 1 victory this season, something we did not quite expect of him to start things, but now he's got a chance to become the second driver to add that crooked number, and the first of which is the man right behind him in Scott Eckridge. As we'll take a ride on board now with the number 70. Yellow flag is out for the 3rd time in the past 75 laps, 4th overall, and it looks like with the caution out, we're going to take a look back and see just what caused it here. Intense racing with 37 laps to go, and we are brought now to the yellow flag. Pitpack seems to get away from it just fine. It was Galen Gidman, yes, at the line. So here's a look back with Gidman. This will show you what happened. Cause a caution to 0-4 among potentially others. 30 drivers on the lead lap. Gidman looks like he's still going to be on the lead lap after this incident, as he was alongside the 51 Tube Tech Chevrolet. That is Tom Wetmore. Gidman up top. Contact with Zach Scrinton, and the 0-4 sliding up the track. Ends up down on the apron and luckily avoids everyone. So Gidman will be able to continue. Cautions out, racing incident. Although it looks like Gidman immediately off the circuit there, but he's back on the way. It looks like he should be good to go and remain on the lead lap. He'll have to get himself a new tire though, as it looks like everyone else has the same idea. Welcome to pit road for what could be the final time tonight. We're already looking ahead at your pit exit camera, so we're going to find out quick who gets out and wins the race off pit road, which matters most of all, of course, now that everyone's coming together again. Jacob Fife came in leading, of course, with Ethan Lane and Scott Eckridge. Now we're going to see which of these guys, if any of them, come out first. 2-tire strategy worked out for Jacob Fife, winning in Atlanta, and it looks like now he's got track position and he can afford to risk it. Up and in front, it'll be Ethan Lane, then Scott Eckridge, Jacob Fife, Ryan Bean, Matt Sizzler, and after that, looks like Cody Smith in 6th. You'll then have the number 23 just behind in Richard Smith. So the Smiths will be coming out together at the front of the field. It's the first time we've seen that all year long. It is Cody Smith and Ryan Smith. 18 of Cody, and number 23 of Richard Smith. Not related. Smith, of course, Richard Smith is a rookie. Cody Smith, the 2022 Integrity Racing League champion and Next Level Racing brand ambassador. Sim Motion brand ambassador Jacob Fife is once again inside the podium. Gotta watch out for Fife here. Last time he was put in this position, he won against all odds. Now, although it looks like everyone else, the guys who were previously leading, had gotten their chance, they weren't able to make it up big time. Blake Cannon is still finding himself outside of the top 10 in 12th. Wetmore's in 14th. Cato is 15th. Nick Tarbuck right now, well, looks like he is running in 20th. So, disappointing second half for the guys who really controlled this race. We'll see whether or not maybe they can get things going again and fix things up to finish it off. Only 33 going to be remaining from here. 33 laps, that is. So we are at wit's end for the field. One more time for your iRacing pace car. Yellow flags have been sparse today. We started with some back-to-back cautions early on, but otherwise, we've gotten good runs of 25, 30 laps in multiple times over. Ethan Lane, 15th to first on the day. He has been the class of the field. But slowly but surely, that class has been changing, and there's just been different people in it each and every time by. Every 10 laps have looked real different. It's about time we see whether or not Lane can handle the new test. 33 laps ago, Ethan Lane to the point. Green flags out again. Restart number 5 sees the number 6 take a commanding lead into 1 and 2. The Hornets' Nest sees some nearly 3-wide racing. There's Cody Smith with Brian Yazik and Tom Wetmore. All the while, up and in front, Ethan Lane's got control. And with him is Jacob Fife. Fife will remain just behind the number 36. And the wrecking big Yazik, among others, cautions out. And Brian Yazik cannot avoid trouble. The 55 again, caught in it, slides up the circuit. The yellow flag is out. Just one lap into our newest restart. It's caution number 6. Here's why. We're going to take a look back and show you the cause. Three wide so quick to start was a risk in itself. And it looks like those risky behaviors and that risky racing proves a quick negative. Nicholas Ward going to disconnect at the conclusion of that last incident, and it was Blake Cannon and Matt Sizzler stuffed in the wall that sent Richard Smith down. Brian Yazik then gets loose off of Tom Wetmore, comes up the track, T-bones Bernheimer. Bernheimer collects Cody Smith, so both of the Smiths involved there. Cody and ricochets up the wall himself, only to save it. Richard Smith comes back up the track right at the end of it. Smith and Yazik involved, as was Blake Cannon. Cannon with some right side damage, and Matt Sizzler more the same as well. And Sizzler really bouncing off that right end. And you could see the right front in particular where the damage is. Looks like it's going to catch him pretty hard. And I think that's going to have some significant impacts now coming into the final laps. Aerodynamically speaking, that's not a hit you can brush off and buff off quickly. Caution number 6. Unfortunately for Ethan Lane there, it's just going to put another stopgap into his run toward the checkered flag. If he thinks he can break away, losing time to do so doesn't make it any easier. We'll have less than 30 laps to go when we go green once again. The field put together. It looks like at this point, it's about time we figure out what's next for Lane Eckrich and third place in Jacob Fife. Currently, it appears that top three has remained solid for the past 15 laps. Jacob Fife, of course, maybe the odd man out from the earlier running, but he qualified 11th. He had pace early, but took a step back. And now, perfect caution's lining up. He's got third again, looking to bring it to the field with 29 laps to go. It'll be officially 29 laps left for opportunity to win this one. Ethan Lane has held control, Scott Eckrich has gotten close, and Scott is looking for what could be his third consecutive win in the Octane Series. Eckrich is looking for win 3 on his season, Jacob Fife is looking for win 2 on his season, and Ethan Lane is looking for his first win on the campaign. Completely different strategies, completely different goals. One common point. They line up side by side and within front and back of each other. Restart number 6. It's the number 6 still in control of this one as we get ready to go green. Ethan Lane's gonna grab a gear. He'll get Scott Eckrich to his outside, but the leaders of every restart have pulled away in dominant fashion time and again. Blake Cannon makes a move to get up silently into P5. Now he's into 4th. And at long last, drivers who have been waiting since lap 65 to get back in front, they're here. Nieto, Wetmore, Patton, Cannon. Everything's coming together just when it needs to. Oh, contact Scott Eckrich. Scott's going to come down the track. Saved it unbelievably, and he'll head into turn 1 still straight. Ross Cato goes to the apron. Deep, he's going to lose more than 10 positions. How did Scott Eckrich do that? Take a look back at the line. He was about 45 degrees sideways, then got toppled back in again. You see a little bit of contact from Wetmore, drifting through the front straightaway, and he gets it back to pace. Eckrich, unbelievable in the number 70 with 28 to go. He's still in the top 10 fight. It'll cost him big time, though, as to the podium. Now he's coming up again on Nick Tarbuck. That could have been significantly worse, but the 70 keeping it straight keeps this race under green with 28 laps to go. Patton out of second, Sam Nieto up to third, Jacob Fife falling just out of the podium in 4th. That, by all accounts, was great racing, and a great save at that for the number 70 of Eckrich, although it might have just cost him a chance at victory for the 3rd consecutive race. I'll tell you this much, it was a valiant effort, and it's still not done. It looks like minimal damage, if any, so he can fight to get back into 10th at the minimum, and if there's any caution, doesn't mean that Eckrich is done for the day. 26 laps remaining now for Ethan Lane, and getting that good breakaway in a restart matters more and more now that you see the chaos each time by. It looks like now Lane has enough buffer to keep Brad Patton behind him. Brad's getting a little bit closer though. That time by it was a 1/4 second difference, and it looks a little bit tighter now with Sam Nieto also putting some additional pressure just behind the two of these guys. And we're going to see what happens now if Sam Nieto can help out with Ethan Lane's pursuit, or if he helps out with Brad Patton's. Does it mean more for Patton to have that pressure behind to push, to help him make that way up, or does it assist Ethan Lane in distracting the number 7 from his pursuit of the race lead? Right now, can't quite tell if it's done anything to harm or assist the number 7. Either way, with 23 laps to go, he's only getting closer, and time is only running out fast faster. With 22 laps to go, this coming time by, we'd like to crank it up with our friends at Whiplash Sim Cams. With iRacing's most up-to-date, most accurate and relevant new camera package on the market, there's no better place to start than Whiplash Sim Cams. Sample cameras are available free on their Discord server, and no licensing fee is necessary for any paid works. That's right, $5 for each track and each car. You check out their service today. Visit Whiplash Sim Cams on their social media platforms as we crank it up uncensored and unrestrained with 22 laps to go from Sin City. Ethan Lane holds fort with 17 laps to go and still has control over the field, although Brad Patton, I'll tell you this much, he's kept them honest. Gap between the top two drivers has been within 0.2 of a second each time by, and across the line it remains the same. Patton has gotten very, very close to just using that apron to pull into turn one and take the race lead. Has not yet gotten the job done in doing so, but he's gotten remarkably closer on each passing attempt. Brad Patton started today in 13th, Ethan Lane started 15th, and Jacob Fife started in 11th. A big day so far for guys who qualified out of the top 10. And all three of these drivers, well, they started looking at each other, except it was in reverse order because Jacob was ahead of Lane and Patton alike. Nevertheless, the same grouping is up in front, and whether it's by coincidence or otherwise, they played their cards just right to have a fighting chance in the final moments of this event. Jacob Fife right now, he finds himself running about a half second off. He's a 0.5 of a second slower each time by. Now Tom Wetmore is getting closer to him again, and it looks like your pole sitter might be able to pull out a podium finish. Doesn't look like yet he's got it in the bag, but he's gotten closer, and Wetmore's got a real shot of making the final run for it here in the next coming laps with 14 laps to go on the docket here. Ethan Lane up and ahead. still has himself there. No competition yet from Brad Patton, and it looks like as long as he hits his marks for the next few laps, he'll be able to make it work just right. Ethan Lane has not yet gotten the win in either the Ignite and Octane Series so far, although he's gotten the best finish of second multiple times in both series. The runner-up position is not often where we see Ethan Lane, so it's been quite a shock to see him have to fight and claw to get to this point, but it looks like now it's about time he's going to pull it together and get it done all throughout start to finish. At the line, another lap led. That's going to make it 12 laps to go. Jacob Fife here still facing that pressure from Tom Wetmore. Wetmore getting closer. Nearly making some contact there, those two drivers. Wetmore's back end getting closer to Jacob Fife's front, and he's going to make a mistake and slip up the circuit. That gives Wetmore third place. The podium, at long last, sees the 51 back within it. Sam Nieto now has a chance to pass for fourth, and he's going to take that opportunity, and he's going to make use of it fully. Further back, you'll see there's a 47 to Don Stevenson, just behind Josh Gallagher. 29th up to 14th on the day for Don Stevenson, and I'll tell you this much, that's a day of gaining and making progression. Love to see that for the 47 crew. Sometimes Stevenson gets good runs out of horrible qualifying efforts, and we do mean horrible sometimes. Pocono Raceway, 45th to 2nd. I would say that was his standout performance of the season so far, without a doubt, in the Ignite Series. It wasn't a great qualifying effort, and it took him a long time to even get in front, but the fact he did it, well, nothing short, not of a miracle, but of a valiant effort that we've come to expect out of Stevenson, a driver who knows how to do things when they matter most, and expect the unexpected out of the 47 no matter what. Cody Smith going to see up top. Nate Campbell goes down low. That's going to be the move for 13th. It looks like now Nate has the advantage in the fight. He'll break through. Ethan Lane in the number 6 leads to what will be 8 laps to go this top by. And he's now out in ahead by 0.7 of a second. He once again gapped Brad Patton. The last 5 laps, Patton has lost about 0.5 of a second. All the time he made up, it looks like he's once again dropped back. Unfortunate to see for that number 7 who got very close to an opportunity for a victory. An opportunity that we didn't quite expect to see him have, but with those final laps and that final restart, he got closer and closer again. But now it looks like all that progress going to fade to the wayside as Lane stays out in the head alone. Sam Nieto looking now for that final podium placement. Tom Wetmore's going to have to look back. He got it through on Jacob Fife just about 10 laps ago, but Sam Nieto now is faster than the 51. Just as soon as your pole sitter entered the top 3, it looks like he may be now poised to leave it by force. Nieto coming through a cloud of smoke to the inside, all the way down to the apron. Wetmore's blocking up top. Advantage Nieto into turn 1, but Wetmore's got the trick up his sleeve in that back straightaway. As long as he pulls together nicely down the back, they'll stay side by side, and it looks like they will. Wetmore still high side, Nieto low, but I think Sam still has that cutting edge. Sam Nieto up to third with now 5 laps to go on the docket, this time by. Sam perhaps making the final move for podium placement, but Brad Patton's got to watch out too. Patton's second place, which looked to be locked in just 10 laps ago, is in jeopardy. And not only is it Sam Nieto looking to make a move for P2, it could be now Tom Wetmore looking for third. Right aboard that number 51, Wetmore is getting a perfect opportunity now to slide into the fight. Brad Patton dropped into third. Sam Nieto, the number 2, takes P2 here with 4 laps to go. Now coming to 3, Lane still in control, looking for his first win of the season. Sam Nieto's gotten himself there into that second spot. Tom Wetmore is quicker now than Brad Patton, but he only has 3 laps to make a pass. I don't quite know whether or not he's got enough time to go for it. All the while, further back, it looks like no major battle is going to be in the running. Josh Gallagher here with Nate Campbell and Blake Cannon. This is going to be for 10th. Cannon is falling back outside of the top 10, mind you. It looks like now Campbell has position number 10. Further up, though, Wetmore still chasing after Brad Patton with 2 laps to go. This final battle for the podium will come down to the wire here. A 10th and a half separating Tom and Brad. Advantage is still Patton, but on pace, Wetmore is still quicker. Wetmore getting up to the back end of the number 7 in Brad Patton, but all the while, 1 lap to go for your race leader, Ethan Lane, the winningest ever driver in the Integrity OCTANE Series and the modern era of the Integrity Racing League. With 15 wins to his name already in this series, number 16 was not a matter of if, it was a matter of when. And now, with no one around and the checkered flag in sight, Ethan Lane is looking to bring it home. Coming through your final 2 corners out of turns 3 and 4, Lane has found victory lane for the 16th time in his Octane Series career. Checkered flag will fly for the number 6. Ethan Lane will get it done in Las Vegas. Tom Wetmore, Patton, contact after the line. And Wetmore will take third. Here's what happened at the line. You saw them beating and banging. And Patton not happy there. Side by side, 1 lap replay will show you what exactly it was like as Wetmore, who was just slightly quicker, pulled it together in the final 2 corners. Wetmore dived just at the very end low, and as he dove, came back up the track, knocked the number 7, and that was the difference maker. Patton got loose and tried to come back down to the track to cut there. Couldn't get it. Wetmore just barely takes third. And all the while, Lane begins his celebration. For Ethan Lane, it is his first win of 2025, and it's a 1 victory that, I'm telling you this much, was a long time coming. Waiting over the winner, coming back at action, repeatedly finishing second, and getting that racing redemption tonight in Las Vegas. Checkered flag is out. Let's take a look at your race results before we get a word from your top 3 finishers. Ethan Lane leads 90 laps on the day and comes away with the checkered flag from 15th in qualifying, with 2nd place in Sam Nieto, and pole sitter Tom Wetmore barely getting to the line 3rd with 38 laps led. Brad Patton finishes 4th, and Nick Tarbuck finishes in 5th, with Matt Sizzler then 6th, Scott Eckrich 7th, Kyle Cooper 8th, Jacob Fife in 9th, and Nate Campbell then P10. 11th place on the order will be Josh Gallagher from 24th on the grid. It'll be Cody Smith 12th, Blake Cannon in 13th, Brock Potter 14th in the number 14, and Paul Mikolajczyk in the number 77 goes 15th place. Galen Gibman is 16th with Ross Cato then 17th. Eric McFarland is 18th place on the day, and then you'll have 19th. Don Stevenson 20th. Aaron Eads in the number 88. From there on out, you got 21st place. That's going to be Ryan Bean. Matt Jonas in 22nd. 23rd, Zach Scrintonall. 24th, Jay Haishman, and P25 in Chad Dillon. 26th place goes Randy Fiash with John DeBarro, 27th. Kevin Bernheimer is 28th with Nolan Potter, P29, and Richard Smith in 30th. 31st from there on out will be Brian Yazik with John Steele, 32nd. Sean Kalis, 33rd. Brian Greenlee, 34th. And Bobby Keith, 35th. With Eli Cars, Jared Davis, Woody Mahan, Jim Fife, and Taylor Story rounding out the top 40, your final two starters, Nicholas Ward and Ryan Vaughn, 41st and 42nd. So, Ethan Lane is at long last a race winner in 2025. He's been on the podium many a time before, and it looks like this time he's back on the top step. It's odd to think that Ethan Lane is not the race-winning favorite week in and week out, but with just one win, that might become the case on a much more consistent basis. Just one win, that's what it took last year to unleash the dominant 14-win campaign. And for Lane this year, that first victory comes in Las Vegas. With 90 laps led and control especially over the final 40 laps, Ethan Lane, you get the job done, finish out the strategy call, and go from 15th to 1st to win in Nevada.
Yeah, happy to be back in Victory Lane on Tuesdays. Been a while. Yeah, we were quick all night. I knew tires are gonna be a big key to how long you could run and how fast you could run. Um, but yeah, no, it's just great to be back in Victory Lane.
It's been a long time coming to get back to this point. Now tonight, you didn't qualify perhaps where you would have liked in 15th place, but the race pace kicked up big. So were there any changes you made in particular to get things going much better from there?
No, I after that, I think second caution, I knew how big of a difference 10-lap tires can be here, and because the reason I knew that is because from Contender a couple months ago, Colin Keister, I think it was, had 10-lap fresher tires in the field. We went green to the end, and he won the race. So we kind of played that strategy again here today. Saved our stuff a little bit more, especially with these cars. They burn the right rear a lot here, so just had to be careful with that. And once we got to the lead, we kind of just checked out and set sail.
And you mentioned that even through the restarts, able to take advantage, get those nice jumps, and pull away. You think those restart jumps immediately off the line were the difference maker in holding your race lead?
Oh, for sure. With us all being on the same setup and everything, draft is huge because there's really not much disparity. It's up driving style. So yeah, it definitely helped us to maintain the lead, especially going down the back stretch on the restart lap. I knew if we could maintain that, no one was going to get around us.
And it looks like that's exactly how it turned out, keeping the lead and doing so with minimal competition toward the end. Now we're heading to another mile and a half, but it looks real different in the Homestead Miami Speedway next. It's always an exciting track. It's a fan favorite at that, but it drives, I'm sure, significantly different than what we've seen so far at Atlanta and Las Vegas. How do you feel about heading back down to Florida this time for some more intermediate action?
I feel good. If that's how the mile and a half program is this year, after tonight, then we should be set to compete every week, at least at these mile and a halves. Florida is definitely different, but looking forward to it. There's some tricks and stuff that you can do to eke out some extra lap time.
So now looking to push further, just one win is all it takes to start a great season. It happened last year, and it looks like that first victory comes today. Ethan Lane, checkered flag is yours in Las Vegas. If you have any final comments or messages you'd like to send out here to the fans, the floor is yours.
Yeah, just even looking back to last year, Vegas was our first win of the year. Did it by dominating, dominated tonight. Just you, David, putting on these broadcasts every week, and to shake up everyone who runs the league over in the Octane Series and the Night Series. Thank y'all. Racing's fun. Just got to work out some kinks with certain things, but it's getting better each and every week.
And so, it looks like those improvements, they're being made continuously, and it showed tonight. Ethan Lane, first victory in 2025. Thank you again for your time.
Thank you.
Laying on the move, we'll bring on second place driver Sam Nieto. Started and finished second on the day, so a very consistent run from start to finish for Nieto, although it was a little bit more challenging than that, especially through the middle stages. Able to recover from the mid stage, but you started and finished strong, Sam. Second and second from beginning to end, it appeared.
Hey, David, how you doing?
Doing well tonight, and it looks like you brought the number 2 back pretty strong.
Yeah, I like Vegas. I like Vegas when the setup's fun. The setup was definitely fun tonight. I didn't have much for short run speed, but that allowed me to bring the long run speed. So I'm pretty happy with how the race turned out.
And you mentioned the car and the setup tonight. Can you tell us a little bit more about how it was driving? Of course, we went here last year, but just it was with the Gen 4.
Yeah, I slowed my steering down, and it felt like I was driving the hell out of it. But realistically, I was probably driving about 3/4 speed of what everybody else was on the excuse me, on the short run, and that just allowed me to be really aggressive with the throttle whenever the tires were going away. That was ultimately the difference. I think if I could have had a happy medium between where I was and where everybody else was, I maybe could have had the track position to fight with Ethan, but he was just too far out, and I didn't have enough laps. And also, it didn't help that I knocked the wall down coming out of 4, I think, with about 20 or 15 or somewhere around in there with to go.
And even still able to hang on for a podium and take those final places ahead of Brad Patton and Tom Wetmore. The long run really seeming to be your strength tonight. How were the tires, especially on that longer stint?
My car, I was flying. Me and Ethan was matching lap times. And I think I was just a little bit quicker than him, but I'm sure he wasn't pushing the pace. He had plenty of gap, but I mean, I felt great. I felt great in the setup. I felt great on the long run. I felt great whenever I could see everybody else starting to get squirrely. I knew that's whenever I could push and make the passes. It was really hard to pass. If you were just battling with somebody on even tires, it's really hard to pass. So that's pretty much the only strategy I have.
It looks like tonight those strategy calls, as simple as it was, worked out well. Next week we're heading down to Homestead, Miami, so our second consecutive intermediate race. Maybe a chance to keep it up here inside the top 3.
Yeah, I love Homestead. Love Homestead. It's one of my better tracks. So I feel like that'll play out similar to this race. Probably not as on top of each other, but as far as tire wear and tire conservation, I think it'll be a lot like this. Well, I guess I'll take that back. It just depends on the setup. If iRacing gives us a good setup, it'll be a fun race. If they give us a bad setup, then it's gonna suck. So we'll see. I'm optimistic because I do love Homestead.
Looks like everything turns out quite well tonight. A second and a half off the victory, but finishing where you started. Sam Nieto, second. Any final comments you'd like to send out? We'd love to hear it.
Yeah, thanks everybody in the league. It was a good fun race, clean for the most part. Thank the admin team for letting us do this, and thank you, David, for putting on a good broadcast.
Sam Nieto, second on the day. Thank you again for your time.
All right, thank you.
With Nieto on the move, one final driver, that is Tom Wetmore in the number 51. Wetmore tonight barely making it out there for that third place finish. We saw how close it was at the very end, and I figure that for the time being, of course, we're going to see what happens with Brad Patton and Tom Wetmore. It was close between these two drivers, and Wetmore got the edge by just a few 1,000ths of a second for third. Tom Wetmore, P3 on the day, and a close call at the end to get yourself onto the podium.
Thanks, Dave. Honored to speak with you tonight, buddy. How are things going in the booth?
Going well, of course. It was a great race to watch. You qualified first, and were able to come back here to get that top 3 finish. So it was a lot in between, no doubt. Can you walk us through?
Yeah, we made a strategy call early to stay out on old tires, and unfortunately, when the pit cycles happened around just after halfway, caution came out. We ended up getting trapped a lap down, 28th. So it was a mission for everybody who got a lap down to try to get up front, and it was a heck of a drive, but fortunately we had the boys at Tube Tech fabricate us up a pretty good rig tonight. Probably shouldn't be talking to you tonight, but we were doing some hard racing with Brad there into turn 1, and we raced equally as hard through 3 and 4 there and coming to the line. So either him or me should be talking to you. Fortunate it's me, but sometimes that's just the way you roll the dice here at Vegas.
And you mentioned going one lap down, result of that pit stop strategy, and you and all others who found themselves there, including Brad Patton, including Sam Nieto, and fifth place Nick Tarbuck, all were very far behind for the next 40-some laps. It was a struggle even to get inside of the mid-top 15, let alone the top 5 and the top 10. How was it making that effort to go from the back of the field on up? It took a lot of time, and it was very challenging to get done before we got things concluded here.
Yeah, I think the other guys likely talked about some of the aerodynamics here at Vegas, where getting stuck behind another car takes all the downforce off the front end. So whereas at most tracks you're watching the car in front of you and looking for a mistake, here at Vegas you're watching the car 2, 3 cars in front of you and seeing if they're going to take the line away from the car just in front of you. And how can you take advantage of that clean air to get a run off the corner and take advantage of a situation like that? So we were fortunate to do it better than some, but not better than Ethan tonight. So congratulations to him, that team, and I mean, really everybody tonight to be in a car that was snappy loose, but at the same time wanting to push like a dump truck through the corner. Props that we were only had a couple cautions tonight with some of the 3 and 4 wide action we saw here on FTN.
Now, last time we went to Homestead for the 51 team, it came down to the last lap for the Octane Series Championship. The stakes are not nearly as high next week, but it's a circuit where I'm sure you're looking to perform maybe even a little bit better than what we saw last time we went here in late October. How's it feel to head back to Homestead now, of course, putting last championship run behind you and looking forward to pushing again to keep this one alive?
Man, you really ripped the Band-Aid off that one, David. Yeah, we were fortunate enough to be leading to the white flag to win the championship in the Octane Series last year. And when we came back around to take the checkered flag, there was another car in front of us. But hey, we had a lot of our same partners believe in us this year with Robin Steele Attorneys at Law and the horsepower under the hood of Garage Moon Power. They believe we can go get it done at Homestead next week, much less the championship later this season. But, we got to paint ourselves a picture, and Big Evil Designs gives us the easel to do that. So if we're going to do it, you got to rip it high, wide, and handsome, running that $45 t-shirt line there in Homestead, Miami. So if you want to get yourself a t-shirt that's half price of $45, boys at backmarker.shop can hook you up, and maybe when we win next week, we'll put a new one out.
Well, it looks like already high hoping to keep the good times rolling for the 51 crew. Tom Wetmore, P3 on the day. If you have anything else you'd like to add before we head down to Florida, make sure to let us know. Yeah,
just do want to give a shout out to some of the Roadhouse guys. Naturally, Blake was running some of our strategy stuff tonight. But John Steele and Eric McFarland, those two guys together put up a lot of the admin, a lot of the creative that helps us on Twitter or X at Roadhouse Racing, helps us paint some cars that look damn good, and just help keep us organized here over here at Roadhouse. So special shout out to those two boys tonight. Without them, Roadhouse would look a lot different.
Tom Wetmore rounding out the podium tonight in Las Vegas, taking that third place finish, qualifying P1. Thank you again for your time.
Thanks, David. Have a great night.
It was a close fight again for that final podium finish, and we saw it play out in replay between Patton and Tom Wetmore, and one of the closest battles we've had for a podium finish all season long. Very similar to the one at Auto Club between Braxton Deweese, Michael Araya, and Michael Stroll. Deweese found himself just behind the fight at the line. It was a very close call, though, with Michael Orion at 44. Nevertheless, you've heard from your top 3 finishers in Tom Wetmore, Sam Nieto, and Ethan Lane. All 3 of which in the broadcast booth tonight, but of course only one winner, Lane getting his first of the season, as he did last year in Las Vegas. Next week on the campaign, we'll be heading down to the Homestead Miami Speedway. Same time, same place, 9 p.m. live on FTN. And we hope you see, of course, us there as well. We hope to see you there as well in the chat room and supporting our content. As always, if you enjoyed, make sure to leave a like on the stream and subscribe to the channel. I've been your host, David Kreutz, commentating and producing. If you enjoyed, of course, check out our next broadcast on Thursday night with the IORA Cup Series and the Highline Racing League Premier Series. Both races going to be coming to you Thursday night, starting at 7:30 p.m. and 9:30 p.m. respectively. The Integrity Ignite Series continues its championship hunt as they go racing next Monday night. The venue for that event, it's going to be a good one. It's the Kentucky Speedway, and it's going to be on Tuesday nights, next Tuesday at 9, Homestead Miami Speedway with the Octane Series. We hope to see you there, continuing to watch our coverage for round 6 of both series respectively, as we continue the championship fight with another new winner tonight in Ethan Lane. Congratulations to Lane on the victory, and Sam Nieto and Tom Wetmore for second and third place finishes. We hope you enjoyed tonight's coverage from the virtual Las Vegas Motor Speedway from FTN Broadcasting. We hope you have a fantastic night.